Hi there, Malcolm here for my 181st Booktube video, and today I'll be bringing you my best 10 reads of 2023. I managed to complete 130 titles in the year, so I had plenty of choice, but these are the 10 that I figured were the best. So let's get cracking. In 10th place is Asterix and the Class Act. Published in 2016, it's the final Asterix book containing the story and illustrations by Goscinny and Uderzo. I've mentioned on numerous occasions that the latest new stuff, it's okay, it's just missing some spark. This had the spark in it. 14 short stories that the pair did, generally as some sort of promotional material for other things. I loved every second of it. 9th place, This Charming Man by C.K. McDonnell, book 2 of the Stranger Times series. I really enjoyed the Stranger Times. I was delighted to see that the follow-up, This Charming Man, also delivered. Hilarious, but with some very heavy themes as well. There's an investigation into some vampire attacks, despite the fact that everybody knows that vampires don't exist, including the Fae folk. Brilliant stuff. Looking forward to reading book 3. In 8th place is Buffy the Last Vampire Slayer. Buffy's now 50, disgruntled, and laconic as hell. A really interesting continuation of a now ageing vampire slayer. This covered a lot of ground and did so really well. In 7th place is the Night's Dawn Trilogy. I'm going to count this 130-hour epic trilogy all as one story. I managed to listen to all during the year 2023, mostly while driving. This is a really strong trilogy. The first book certainly takes a little while to get into. A long time before anything starts making sense or happening that you can relate to. Other things that have already been mentioned in the story. But once it gets established, it is a really engaging story. Potentially it's a bit long, but I enjoyed it. And because I did it as an audible, it didn't get in the way of me trying to read something else. Essentially, it follows a bunch of colonists. They settle in a new planet, well, relatively new, and through some misadventure, they start getting possessed by people who have died previously, and this epidemic spreads across the stars. It's not quite a zombie plague, but nearly. Really good. And in 6th place was Marvel Select Spider-Punk, Battle of the Band, a book I almost didn't pick up because I looked at it and thought, I don't really fancy that one. Really glad I did. In an alternate Spider world, Spider-Punk and his friends go off to stop a bad guy doing some bad stuff, and the journey that they go on is just really enjoyable. This one really surprised me. Highly recommend it. In 5th place is Star Wars Kenobi by John Jackson Miller, chronicling what happens with Obi-Wan Kenobi as he gets to Tatooine with baby Luke, drops baby Luke off, and, it's a case of, now what? How does he settle into his new life as a hermit, and his interactions with the nearby townsfolk. Really, really good, and far better than the Disney Plus TV show. Not that would be difficult. In 4th place is Point Horror Freeze Tag by Caroline B. Cooney. At this point I read about 6 or 7 point horrors and was not that enamoured with them, and this one really surprised me. Chilling, uncomfortable reading, just an overwhelming sense of hopelessness. Certainly from very low expectancy to actually, no, this was damn good. Basically, there's a young lady who can turn people into statues by a touch, and she uses this ability to blackmail a rival girl to giving up her boyfriend so she can go out with him instead. And the level of control that she wields over the town is really quite terrifying. And the ending is really clever in terms of the choices people must make when surrounded by such darkness, or feel they must make. Really clever stuff. In 4th place, Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. This is the first of the children series. Really good epic sci-fi story, which is surprisingly accessible. I'd recommend this even to people who don't really read much sci-fi. And I'm not saying it's not sci-fi, but it is presented in a very accessible way, very readable. It's exactly 600 pages. It may be a little bit daunting, but this reads really well. It alternates between a ship of colonists as they arrive at a planet, and the inhabitants of that planet, a species of superintelligent spider. Really clever ideas in this, and characters you can really root for, even though they're put time and time again into impossible situations. In 2nd place was Dracula by Bram Stoker. This is my first audible attempt. I thought I'd do some classic stuff. I picked Dracula, always wanted to try it, and really, really enjoyed it. I was so impressed with how dark it was and how many emotions actually were filled in this story. I experienced quite a few emotions going through this one. And okay, granted, by today's standards, perhaps a bit tame in the horror aspect, but certainly the atmosphere that is built around the story, particularly the first series of letters, about meeting Dracula and going to his castle and the things that are going on there. They were really good, but as the story unfolds after that even, I was hooked throughout, and certainly a story that is worthy to be considered one of the all-time classics. Now, the story is written as a series of letters by the various characters to each other, and the audible I listened to had a different narrator for each author, which gave an extra level of immersiveness to the story as well. So that was a really good way of enjoying the story. And in first place was the Kju Preservation Society by John Scalzi, a book I read right at the beginning of the year and has stuck with me ever since. Absolutely loved this one. A real palate cleanser. It was a bit short, but it had everything I wanted in it. The twist I saw coming a mile away, but I didn't care. It was just so much fun. Really silly, and certainly a world I'd like to see more from, although we're not really expecting to. Although if anyone is expecting Jurassic Park, it's not. Loved it. So there you go, those are my top 10 reads of 2023. Do keep an eye out for my worst 10 reads of 2023. And if you wish to share your best reads of the year, doesn't have to be 10 of them. Were any of those 10 some of your favourites or least favourites? Allowed to be different. Comment down below please, but as usual, if you have nothing nice to say, then please keep it to yourself. Thank you. Now until next time, see you later.